This is one I want to play for you, Paulie.
Okay.
I'm going to share the screen here. This is Christian's dad, Ed McCaffrey, who went on today. He went on the Ross Tucker pod, and he was talking about his kid. This is kind of interesting. Here's Ed McCaffrey talking about Christian earlier today.
And but also he's such a perfectionist. Like, he wants everybody's opinion. Is there anyone on the planet that can help me get back on the field quicker? And so when the prescription was you just have to rest and not do anything, he sought out other opinions. Yeah, he went and said, look, who else has anything going on anywhere in the world that can help me get back on the field quicker? And one of the problems is you have a million. Ross, my phone blew up. Hey, here's stuff you can eat to help with your tendonitis. Here's treatments you can get. Here's a place you can go. And if my phone blew up, I know his phone was blown up. So he has to decipher between all the information he's getting, which is what he did, right? He trusts his 49ers training staff, but when the prescription is to rest, he's going to go out and get other professional opinions from people around the world. And then most of it, he doesn't follow up on. He's like, I got to pick between all this stuff I'm being told.
So there you go. A little bit of Ed McCaffrey and just talking about his son. And obviously everybody's hoping for the best for Christian and hoping that he finds whatever remedy he needs to find and can get back on the field. But I thought it was interesting to hear Ed McCaffrey. I mean, This is a guy who's been there. He's played in the league, and now his son's playing in the league. His son was on top of the football world not that long ago, right? I mean, he's in the Super Bowl. He's the offensive player of the year. He's in the running for the MVP. And then, wow, what a difference a year makes. Here we are a year later. He can't get on the field. He's got tendonitis in both Achilles.
Yeah.
He's traveling to Germany to look for, medicinal solutions for what ails him. And I just feel bad for Christian. He's a great guy. He loves to play football. He lives for it. I just, I really hope that he can get back. I mean, it sounds like Paulie, he had pain in both Achilles, but then he went to Germany. It sounds like he's alleviated some of the pain or whatever he's done has alleviated the pain. And now they're going to try to ramp him up and see if they can get him out there. My approach to it is, you know what? How about this? Don't bank on him. Don't depend on him. Don't even think about him. And if he shows up and surprises you, great. And if not, then it doesn't have an emotional toll on the roster and the players in the locker room. I think if the entire thing becomes every week, where's Christian? Is he coming back this week? Is he coming back this week? Yeah. Then I think it starts to be kind of a bummer for the team. Yeah. But if they just say, hey, you know what? We got Mason. We're rolling with Mason. We'd love to have Christian back, and hopefully he can make it back. But if he can't, he can't. But I kind of, and it kind of dovetails, Paulie, into the question that I asked Shanahan earlier today, which was, who is your running back two? Because you have Mason is now the one, but like Guarendo's got 7 carries. Taylor has none. So obviously Guarendo would be running back two, but Guarendo looks super raw, like really raw.
Yeah.
And Taylor hasn't gotten a single touch, and it's October. Yeah. So I kind of feel like Shanahan said all the right things. He's like, yeah, it's running back, and you always got to have another running back because, they're one hit away from, being out, and it's next man up. I mean, I know. And it's like, I feel like they are in a bad spot here. Like, they're leaning on Mason, and he's awesome. He's 5 yards a carry. He's a bull. He's terrific. But what happens to the 49ers if Mason has a hamstring and misses, let's say he goes out in the second quarter of a game and he's like got a hamstring pull. I mean, Guarendo, Paulie, to me, I don't think he can do it. And Taylor, I would guess, can't do it either because we haven't seen him. So
yeah,
I'm a little worried. I mean, I love Mason and but I'm a little worried that there is no behind Mason at all.
I think you're smart to be concerned. I really do. I'm a little concerned myself. I mean, the workload that Mason has taken on kind of unexpectedly. I mean, I don't think anybody expected him to be, the number one running back in Shanahan's stable, but that's what it's turned into. He's doing a great job. Zero complaints about Mason. Zero. But I, like yourself, Krug, we've watched a lot of football, man. The wear and tear associated with the running back position is well documented. And you think about Shanahan's offense in San Francisco, and think about how many running backs have come and gone just since he's been here. You know what I mean? Matt Breida, Mostert, McKinnon, like these guys, they kind of come and go, and they're like, movable chips in the Shanahan offense. But Christian McCaffrey clearly head and shoulders above all of the names I just mentioned. And yeah, we want him back. And the other thing I think you're smart on, Krug, is your whole kind of premise on expectations with McCaffrey, where don't hold your breath. Don't assume it's going to happen. Don't bank on it happening. But if it does happen and he can return and make a contribution, fantastic, beautiful. Let's onward and upward. Let's go. But this reminds me, Krug, of when the Niners lost Jerry Rice in week 1 in the 97 season against Tampa Bay, where all of a sudden they were without their best offensive chip. Now, Terrell Owens was a good young wide receiver at that point, but he hadn't elevated to become the TO that we all know. So Jerry Rice was like the featured guy in that offense, and suddenly he's out for the year. So I got to put this question to you, the question I asked myself that entire 97 season, which was, can the 49ers win a Super Bowl without Jerry Rice? Turned out that they couldn't. They lost in the NFC Championship game that year to Green Bay at the Stick. And I'll ask you that question now. Let's say the Niners continue to play good winning football. I expect that they will. I expect them to win their division. I expect them to be a playoff team. But can they win a title? Can they win a championship without Christian McCaffrey in your mind, Krug?
I think they can. I think they can. I mean, Jordan Mason is a hell of a back. The guy's got great contact balance. He's 230 pounds. He's Paulie. I mean, the guy's played like whatever number of games in the NFL. In almost every single game that he's played, he's averaged 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, big workload. Yeah.
So I mean, the guy is really, really good. I believe in him. I mean, I'll say this though, the pace that he's on is worrisome. That is worrisome. I gotta admit, that is a concern of mine, is his pace. His pace seems, I don't know what's the word, I guess unsustainable.
There you go.
I don't know that I don't know that it's a sustainable pace that he's on.
Right.
And that is a concern. I mean, let me give you an example. So he's on pace for 387 carries. That's 75 more carries, Paulie, than Frank Gore's franchise record, 312 set in 2006.
Yeah, that's not really realistic. I don't expect Jordan Mason to carry the rock that many times. And going back to one of your original points here on this topic is Shanahan's going to have to start working more bodies into that backfield for carries. He's going to have to. Because as you just said perfectly, the word is unsustainable. It's just not over what is now a 17-game schedule with 2 more playoff games and a Super Bowl, hopefully. It's just not going to work. So Shanahan's going to have to find some other solutions in the backfield, just if for nothing else, just to give Jordan Mason a breather.
Absolutely. And I mean, here's the thing. He's also running against stacked boxes with the extra defender in the box 54.1% of the time. So you're running him exclusively. You're running him against stacked boxes more than half the time. And I don't know that he can maintain that. Right. And I think it was Baldinger who said, hey, look, if you get to the fourth quarter and you got a 2-score lead, get him out of the game and put somebody else in the game. Don't use him to finish the game. If you're going to use him to win the game, let him. If you use him early and he wins you the game, then let somebody else put the final nail in the coffin and take all those hits.
That's essentially what Jordan Mason's role was last year when McCaffrey would come out of the game with a big lead.
Or Mitchell or Mason. Mitchell was a big finisher too. And Mitchell's thing was he didn't fumble. Mason's thing is that he does kind of fumble. Yeah. So I think that's kind of why Shanahan hasn't used him more. I think we got that answer when we saw him. But yeah, I mean, to me, you got to find another back. And here's the thing, Paulie, that's really interesting to me. The 49ers depth chart at the beginning of the year was in camp, CMC, Elijah Mitchell, JP Mason, 1, 2, 3. Now Mitchell's out for the year, and McCaffrey's got a serious injury, and Mason's the 1. So now the depth chart is Mason's the 1. Shanahan told me today that Garendo is the 2, and that Taylor, he says he has total confidence in, is the 3. But here's the thing, Paulie. I think that's a lie. I don't really believe that that's the depth chart. I really believe the depth chart is Mason's the 1, and if Mason gets hurt, if it's this week and he gets hurt in the game, you'll see Garendo, you'll see Patrick Taylor, you'll see Debo, you'll see Juszczyk. But like next week,
right?
I think they're going to bypass Garendo, they're going to bypass Taylor, and they're going to go to Keyshawn Vaughn off their practice squad, and they should, because he's the veteran, he's the guy with the experience.
Yeah.
I really believe that if somehow Jordan Mason were down for 2-3 weeks,
right,
it would be Keyshawn Vaughn. He would be starting over Garendo, because Garendo's green.
Yeah.
He's really, really raw. And Patrick Taylor is more of a glorified special teamer. Keyshawn Vaughn was a starting NFL running back, and he's been a starting NFL running back. So I really believe that even though he's technically behind those guys, I actually think he's in front of them.
Why do you think
Mason?
I'm sorry, Crew. Well, I'm sorry. Why do you think that Shanahan wouldn't want to disclose that? Like, how does that?
Well, okay, they don't want to put Garendo on the practice squad because other teams could pluck him, and he's too talented to lose, right?
Okay.
So that's why he's not on the practice squad.
Yeah.
But Taylor, on the other hand, they signed him in the offseason. He had one good preseason game against the Raiders. But I really think that Keyshawn Vaughn's just a better running back overall. Yeah. And I think if it really comes down to Taylor or Vaughn, I think it's going to be Vaughn, even though Vaughn right now is on the practice squad and Taylor's on the active roster. I think that's just like, I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything, but I just really think that if Mason goes down, you're going to see Keyshawn Vaughn.